This morning, I want to talk about a subject that is basic yet profoundly impactful. Making decisions. The difference between making good and bad decisions affects every aspect of our lives, whether it's choosing to get into dog breeding, deciding which dog to buy, selecting a career path, accepting a particular job, or making significant life choices like whether to buy a house or rent, or when to start a family. Decisions are everywhere. Consider the dilemma of buying a car. Should it be new or used? Or the question of pursuing higher education and earning a degree. Every day, our lives are shaped by countless decisions, which can often feel overwhelming. A few years ago, I had a lot on my plate with work and personal matters. One afternoon, I came home from work and my wife greeted me at the door. She asked, "What do you want for supper tonight?" She was being considerate, wanting to make whatever I preferred. But I paused and said, "Honey, I'm decisioned out. I've made 1,000,000 decisions today, and I just can't make another one. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, but please, you decide what to cook, and I'll gladly eat it." If we examine our lives and the difficulties we encounter, we can often trace most of our hard times and unfavorable situations back to a single source: a bad decision. It's almost so basic that it seems silly to mention, but it's true. I made the decision to do this. I made the decision to listen to that person. I made the decision to go down this road. Now, I'm facing the consequences of those decisions. If I had been a little bit better at decision-making, I might be in a better position in life. Of course, not everything is within our control. Some things in life happen regardless of our choices, but for the most part, our circumstances come down to the decisions we make. As I've grown older, I've realized that I can smooth out many of life's rough patches by making better decisions. I'm not saying I always make good decisions or that I have a perfect record. Far from it. But I have found a process that helps me make better decisions. Today, I want to share that process with you. There are times nowadays when I think, if I had made this decision when I was younger, I would have gone down a different path and ended up in a difficult situation. Fortunately, I've matured and refined my decision-making process. I want to share some insights on making decisions with you. The first thing I want to address is a common piece of advice. Follow your heart. This is something you'll hear from the world and people around you. However, the first thing I'm going to tell you is, don't follow your heart. Now, you might be ready to argue with me, but hear me out. Most of what we think of as following our heart is actually following our emotions. When people say, follow your heart, they're often implying that you should follow your emotions. But when we say we're following our heart, we're not really following our heart. We're following our emotions. Your heart is the core of who you are. It's the essence of your being. Emotions, on the other hand, are reactions to external events. For example, if someone gives you a new PS5, you feel happy. If you accidentally drop that PS5 in a pool, you're sad. If the person who gave it to you tells you it has a warranty, you're happy again. 6 months later, when a new PlayStation model comes out, you feel dissatisfied. Your emotions are constantly rising and falling based on your circumstances. So, when you say you're going to follow your heart, you're often reacting blindly to external influences. This reactionary approach isn't a sustainable or fulfilling way to live. The difference between following your heart and following your emotions is crucial. Your heart represents who you truly are. For example, if someone offered me a job as an accountant with an exuberant salary, I would have to turn it down. Why? Because despite the good money and job security, being an accountant is not who I am at my core. I have to follow my heart. Consider a child raised by two parents who are highly logical and numbers-oriented. One, a mathematics professor, and the other, an engineer. Despite their mathematical precision and logical approach to life, their child might be a genetic throwback to a more passionate, artistic, ancestor. This child might have a strong inclination towards art, be it painting, ballet, or another creative field. The parents, having found stability and financial success in their careers, might want the same for their child and hope they pursue a similar path. However, as the child grows up, they realize they are an artist at heart, not an analyst. Following their heart means pursuing a life aligned with their true self, their intrinsic passion for art, rather than the logical, numbers-oriented career their parents envision. This decision is not purely emotional, even though emotions are involved. When I started my YouTube channel, I knew my heart. My goal wasn't to make money, build a large channel, or gain fame. Instead, I recognized that many young men were struggling mentally and emotionally, some feeling utterly lost. I had been in their shoes, without anyone to guide me, forced to learn the hard way and find strength within myself. I realized that much of the information available was either misleading, designed to profit off those already down, or content that made men feel worse about not meeting societal expectations. People were spending fortunes on clinics, seminars, videotapes, and books that didn't address their core issues or provide the basic understanding they needed. I knew this because I had been one of those people. My heart was truly in helping others and providing the necessary information. Much of my content is curated from multiple sources, where I sift through and separate the good from the bad, while some are based on my own life experiences. When I started, I received advice on how to be successful on YouTube. You need music, excitement, quick cuts, and edits. I studied these suggestions because I wanted to do things right. But eventually, I realized that wasn't my heart. I'm not a noisy or frenetic person, and that approach didn't align with who I am or what I wanted to achieve. If those elements were essential for success, then I wouldn't be successful, because I started this channel from the heart. So I decided to follow my heart, not out of an emotional reaction, but from a deep understanding of who I am. I chose to stay true to myself, even if it meant not conforming to typical success metrics. The first thing to remember when facing a significant decision is not to follow your emotions. Emotions change with circumstances. If you base your decision on how you feel right now, those feelings might change as the circumstances evolve, leaving you stuck with a choice that no longer fits. However, it is essential to follow your heart. We'll delve into that a bit more later. The second crucial point is to use your brain. You have one, so make sure to engage it. Your logical and critical thinking skills may not be fully developed, but they will grow as you use them. For instance, say your heart tells you that you love horses and want to be a jockey. This isn't an emotional whim, but a genuine passion. Yet your brain tells you that at 6 feet tall and 185 pounds, you simply don't have the physique for it. Even if you starve yourself and run 20 miles a day, your bone structure won't change. Use your brain to recognize that becoming a jockey is not feasible. Let's consider another scenario. You're renting a small apartment and want to buy a new car. Your heart desires a brand new car, perhaps to impress someone. This desire is strong, but you must also use your brain. Factor in the current housing market, interest rates, and your financial situation. How much money do you have for a down payment? How secure is your job? Are you willing to drain your savings for a car that might only serve to attract someone who is more interested in your financial status than in you? Banks often lend money irresponsibly, offering loans you can't afford for things you don't need. You might get a flashy car and drive it for a few hours a day, but it will depreciate in value. If the car gets totaled in an accident, you could owe more than it's worth. Imagine you take all your savings, borrow from your parents, and scrape together a down payment for the car. You're flat broke, but have followed your desire. You might attract someone, but if that person is only with you for your financial status, you'll find yourself in a worse situation. You'll have to deal with car payments, insurance, repairs, and the realization that you've spent everything on a whim. When circumstances change, such as your job downsizing or other financial setbacks, you'll be in a difficult position. Therefore, while it's important to follow your heart, you must also engage your logic and reason. You can't just turn your brain off and follow your heart blindly. Combining your heart's desires with logical, reasoned thinking is the key to making sound decisions. The third essential step in making significant decisions is to seek counsel. Each of these elements, following your heart, using your brain, and seeking counsel, is crucial, but none are effective on their own. Following only your heart can lead you astray, making impulsive decisions that don't withstand the test of time. Solely relying on logic and reason can result in a safe but unfulfilling life, where you might look back with regret, wishing you had taken more risks or pursued your passions. To make well-rounded decisions, you need to combine all three approaches and also seek counsel. By counsel, I mean getting advice from a variety of sources. If you're considering starting a family, for example, you need to check in with your heart. Are you emotionally ready for kids? Then engage your brain. Can you afford children? And are you mature enough to grow alongside them? Finally, seek counsel from multiple sources: your pastor, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends, and colleagues. Ask people with experience, like a coworker who's been married for 32 years and has grown children. Learn from their experiences. Also, read books. There's a wealth of knowledge written by those who have lived through various challenges and milestones. The saying, "readers are leaders," holds true because reading allows you to gain insights from others' experiences. Think about it. If you're about to change a water pump on your car and have never done it before, you'd probably watch a YouTube tutorial first. You'd seek counsel for a mechanical task, but hesitate to seek advice for major life decisions like marriage, having children, or changing careers. That's not wise. Seeking counsel doesn't mean finding someone who will tell you what you want to hear so you can place the responsibility on them. Instead, get advice from as many sources as possible, integrate it with your logic and heart, and then make an informed decision. All right, let's go back and consider your experience. You mentioned that you have no experience in this particular deal, but remember that you've been experiencing life since the day you were born. Think about the book, "Everything I Needed to Know, I Learned in Kindergarten." You have more experience than you realize. Your past experiences, whether successful or not, have taught you valuable lessons. For instance, if you've repeatedly tried something and it hasn't worked out, that's a sign to approach it differently. Let's use a practical example. You and your spouse are looking to buy a car or a house. On one hand, you have your intuition and emotions. On the other, you have logic, reason, and advice from others. Reflecting on your history with money, if you recognize that you've struggled with saving and have been impulsive with purchases, this is crucial information. Instead of deciding not to buy a car or house, apply this insight more broadly. Acknowledge that managing finances isn't your strength. To make a sound decision, you might agree with your spouse that they should handle the finances. By recognizing your limitations and leveraging your partner's strengths, you build a stronger foundation for making good decisions. When it comes to making a significant long-term decision, like committing to someone in a serious relationship, it's essential to weigh both your heart and your head. Let's delve into that balance. Heart. Take a moment to introspect on your feelings. Are you drawn to this person because they make your heart flutter and bring out the best in you? Or is it more about compatibility in terms of values, outlook on life, and long-term goals? Ensure that the emotional connection you feel aligns with a deeper compatibility beyond just infatuation. Logic and reason. Think logically about the situation. What specific qualities or aspects of this person intrigue you the most? Recognize that the very things that attract you now might become sources of frustration or conflict in the future. Seek counsel from those who have experienced long-term relationships to gain insight into how to navigate potential challenges. Know yourself. Reflect on your past dating experiences. What patterns emerge? What were the reasons behind previous relationships not working out? Identify any recurring themes or red flags and compare them to your current situation. Consider what sets this person apart from previous partners and whether those differences contribute positively to the relationship's potential longevity. By considering both your emotions and rational thinking, seeking advice from trusted sources, and reflecting on your own history, you can make a more informed decision about whether to commit to a long-term relationship. It's about finding a balance between the excitement of love and the practicalities of compatibility for a lasting partnership. Improving our decision-making abilities undoubtedly leads to a better quality of life. If you find yourself plagued by a history of poor choices, it's time for a turnaround. But where to begin? Start small. Instead of being impulsive, pause before making decisions, especially significant ones. If impulsivity is your nemesis, set a rule. Delay all decisions by a day or two. Seek advice from trusted confidants. Take time to weigh your options. Every day presents a myriad of choices, starting from the moment you wake. Opting to rise promptly instead of hitting snooze is a prime example. It's a decision based on discipline rather than momentary comfort. Making your bed, though seemingly inconsequential, reinforces this discipline. If you struggle with these small choices, how can you handle weightier matters like career choices or commitments? Practice with minor decisions builds the skill set needed for larger ones. So, commit to mastering the small choices first. If you're struggling to make big decisions, start with the small ones. It's like every choice you've made up to now has led you to this point, but that doesn't mean you have to keep making the same decisions. If you're feeling overwhelmed by past mistakes, remember that you can change course. Instead of dwelling on yesterday's choices, focus on making one good decision today. It doesn't have to be a monumental leap. Even a tiny step in the right direction counts. For example, if you're feeling distracted and sedentary, try turning off your phone and taking a short walk. Taking action, no matter how small, can help clear your mind and set you on a better path. Just like in that interview video I watched, where someone struggled with alcohol and their dad advised them not to quit forever, but just for today. Sometimes, all you need to do is focus on the present moment and make the best decision you can for today. How about this? What's my plan? Well, I'll start by getting out of bed, fixing up my covers, and then slipping into my sweats and tennis shoes for a walk outside. Jogging seems like too much to decide on right now. Instead, I'll opt for a stroll around the block. That's my choice. I'm going to push myself out of bed, tidy things up, and head out for that walk. It may seem like a small step, but it's a decision I'm making. Do I need to do this for my health? Not really. Am I trying to shed some pounds? Nah, not really. So why am I doing it? Because I want to assert control over my body. Today it's my mind and will that are calling the shots, not my feelings. Today my decisions are based on what needs to be done, not how I'm feeling. As I start to improve my daily routines, those big decisions on the horizon become clearer. I'm treating them with the weight they deserve because they can change everything. You don't need to enlist in the Marines or say "I do" to make a life-changing decision. Often, it's the little choices we make without realizing their impact. 10 years down the line, you might look back and realize how one seemingly small decision set you on a whole new path. So it's all about those decisions, right? I hope this resonates with you, helps you see things a bit differently. If it does, give it a thumbs up, maybe even hit that subscribe button. And if you know someone who could use this message, share it with them. Just keep moving forward. Yesterday's spills don't define today, and you don't have to keep making the same mistakes. You've got this.